Very short documentary, call it an intro, where he's starting a podcast. And in that podcast, he's going to be talking about a number of issues, a plethora of topics. Now, Lecrae has always been known to be a wild card, guy in the Christian hip hop scene. This podcast, he addresses it all. He talks about a number of topics, a number of subjects. He talks about success, he talks about failure, he talks about growth, he talks about spirituality. It just gets real, okay? But in this segment, I'm going to focus on one of the topics in the segments that he talked about the most, which was around how to invest in yourself as a person.
I think that you have to invest in yourself. And investing in yourself is not about investing in your ego. It's investing in your soul, in your spirit, in your mind. And in order to do those things, you can't sit stagnant, right? You can't. You're going to have to get out of the way of your fears. You're going to have to get out of the way of the obstacles that you feel like are going to keep you back and challenge yourself to be more than what you are right now. It's not osmosis. You're not going to grow by osmosis. Nobody drifts into discipline, right? I remember being at the beach with my daughter when she was 10, her and one of her best friends. We were at the beach, and while we're at the beach, I'm telling her and her friend, don't go too far out because I don't want you to get swept up under by the waves. And so they were not going far out, but as I looked at them, they kept moving further to the left. And what I noticed was that it's not the giant tidal wave that is the one I should have been looking for. It's that undercurrent that's taking them in a direction they don't even realize they're going in.
Now, how many times have you heard about the things that you should be doing as opposed to the things that you should be doing less of? Now, a lot of times. A lot of us sometimes don't necessarily struggle to succeed in a lot of our areas because we can't do. We have the potential to get things done, but we lack the discipline and the focus to get it done. So sometimes you gotta just get to that point in life where you just gotta get things done the way you gotta get them. The things gotta get done. They're not gonna get themselves done. Nobody's gonna force you to read that book. Nobody's gonna read it for you. Nobody's gonna clean your room. Nobody's gonna teach you that computer skill or program. Nobody's gonna edit your YouTube videos. Nobody's gonna study their algorithm for you.
That's what life will do to you if you're not persistent and insistent on moving forward. So you've got to take a step every day. Take a step every day in the direction that you want to be in, because what that creates is a habit. You've got to reverse engineer your life in some particular kind of ways and take a step in that direction. I have a 16-year-old son. I got 2 more years with him, and then I have to unleash him on society. I want to make sure that I'm making the best of my time with him. I want to make sure that I make it all count. I don't want to look back and say, dang, I missed some moments that I could have invested in him because I was out on the road, touring. You all.
Listen, I just watched, and I recommend that you guys do this. I just watched Sylvester Stallone's biography. There was a segment that really stood out for me, and I recommend that you guys really watch it. Now, he goes through this process where he takes us through the journey of how he came up to be Sly Stallone, Sylvester Stallone, the action hero. It looks into a lot of the background stories of how he came up to be a filmmaker, the struggles that he went through, the challenges that he had to surmount, and all the backstories behind every film. It introduces us to the man, the filmmaker, Sylvester Stallone. And I found it very interesting because it was very relevant to me as well. And there's a segment where what really stood out to me was when he started to talk about how you can eclipse every metric of success in whatever you do. But if there's any regret that he has, I don't want to give away anything, but if there's any regret that he has, is the fact that the number one thing that is irreplaceable is not the success or the films that he made, but it's the time that he took away from the most important things in his life, which is family, in order to make those pieces of art. Because when all said and done, you've got the awards, status, you've got the success, you've got the money and everything. But it's a dark, cold, and lonely road. When you get up there, the air is thinner, it's lonelier. It's not as eclipsing success or getting to a certain level of success. It's not as meritorious, or it's not as grandiose as we tend to play it out to be, or at least in our minds. Because that's what we tend to do. We try to filter every aspect of our lives or certain things that we don't have with all this artwork, with all these awards, all these checklists that we feel like we need to achieve and accomplish in our lives. but we don't realize that. But the most important things is the relationships that we have with the people around us, our siblings, our parents, people that we need to make peace with, the people that are going to be there for us when all the accolades and when all the fans or your subscribers or whatever the case is, when they are not there or when they're not looking, the people that are there with you when you're sick or when you're old, that's what actually really matters, because that's not replaceable. That's the stuff to really, really value the most. And I love what he's talking about right there when he switches this and says, well, he's got a few more years to invest in his child until we can unleash him out there into the world. I want you to listen to exactly what he talks about right there, and then we're going to come back to that point.
Can get another Lecrae. He'll never get another father. Sometimes my wife and I will sit down and we'll say, hey, where do we want to be in 5 years? Because we're not just going to get there, right? We've got to start taking steps today, year 1, to get there, year 5. And so we'll take some practical steps. We'll say, hey, where do we want to be in 5 years as far as our intimacy in our marriage and our relationship? Well, we want to be closer. We want to have a more dynamic friendship and relationship. So what do we need to do today to make that reality happen in 5 years? Well, guess what? We need to institute some dates. What kind of dates do? Not just us sitting at dinner, because neither one of us may not have anything to do. What do we enjoy doing together? Okay, we need to investigate what we enjoy doing together. We found out we love sports. We started going to sporting events together. It started creating some relationship and some intimacy and some endearment and some excitement. And now we have this shared interest that's exciting and fun for us. That moved to like, man, let's get season tickets, because this is an investment in our marriage. It's not just about us going to this game. This is an investment in our marriage. And
he'll never get everybody can get a Lecrae, but you'll never get another father. What you invest in, the things that you invest in the most, that's what's going to define your life. That's what's going to impact whether you're going to be happy or not, whether you're going to be satisfied with your life when you look back to it, you look at all the metrics of everything that you've done. Okay, how do you evaluate your life and your happiness, your success? Investing in yourself, in your family, in your surroundings, where it actually really matters. And I just made a video recently. It has about 7 views. Y'all need to watch that video. Come on. All right. It's a really interesting video that I was talking about. I'll put it up. I'm going to put it up on the link on the description. It was talking about the very thing that he just mentioned right there. Interest. Investing in his marriage. In the video I was talking about, the previous video I just made, in modern day age, the divorce rate is extremely high for a lot of reasons that have to do with nothing new, same old, but simply because technology has given us this access to have so many options. It has not made us to become closer with each other. There's too many options that become more of a distraction, where we find a lot of things that we have in common, things that deepen our friendship, deepen our relationships a lot better. But we're becoming a lot more and more disconnected. The research is suggested to, it has about an 80% accuracy prediction of whether or not the couple will divorce. You should just go and watch the video. So I love what he's talking about there. Investing time, the marriage, investing time in what do they actually like doing together. That sort of thing. Narrowing your options down to what you like. Sounds like a simple question, but oh boy, look at the divorce rates.
What that's created is a more kindred bond and a connectivity that in year 1 was being invested in by going to 1 game. By year 5, we've been to 5 seasons, and we have a stronger friendship and a stronger bond than we would have had we not taken those intentional steps. So whatever that is in your life that you want to see happen in 5 years, what are you doing today? What step are you taking today to make that a reality? That's what you're going to have to do. I love hanging out with my wife. She's the realist. I'm the romantic.
She's the realist. I'm the romantic. I'd like to get into everything that he's talking about. I'm going to have to take this video one step at a time.
He's walking with you. Psalm 23 says, goodness and mercy will pursue me all the days of my life. That word pursue in the original language means to hunt. Literally, goodness and mercy is hunting you every day if you're trusting in God. You're not just out here aimlessly flailing. He's got a plan and you're walking in the midst of it. And so you got to stop saying, God, take this hard path away, give me an easy path, and start saying, God, give me feet for the path, because I know you will. That's the way you function. That's the way you operate. I know it's difficult. I know it's scary. I know you're like, but I'll be broke, or I'm going to struggle, or I got these bills, or I got these family issues, or nobody believes in me. But guess what? Those are literally the obstacles that are going to create endurance and persistence and make you into a new person. Everybody's got to go through the cocoon in order to become a butterfly. You got to. That's part of the process. And that's what's going to mold you into the person that can sustain everything that you're trying to build. If it came to you overnight, you wouldn't know what to do with it. If it came to you through some trial and tribulation, you're going to understand the work it takes to maintain it, and it's going to stay. And
yeah, everybody's got to be a cocoon before they become a butterfly. When it's too hard, it's hard for a reason. He who is prepared will never have difficulties. When you're prepared for something, you'll never say it's too difficult. When you're really prepared for something, when you spend time sharpening your axe, sharpening your axe, it makes the task a lot less hard or strenuous. It just makes it a hell of a lot more manageable. The harder the road, the greater the success.
You won't have to fear that any moment it's all going to disappear. No, because you know what it took to get there, you know what it takes to keep it there, and you know what it takes to start over if you have to.
A lot of people succeed in something, and there's this fear that they have at the back of their mind. People succeed, they make a lot of money, they become a lot less giving because they're kind of afraid that, you know, what happens if it all goes away. And that all comes from what he's talking about right there. I love what he's saying. If you know what it takes to get somewhere, you know how to get it, you know how to keep it. Seldom do people who succeed in an area where they really worked hard for lose it. Once you learn a skill, you can't unlearn it. You can stop nurturing it and polishing it, but you can't unlearn it because it becomes part of who you are, an extension of who you are. When you learn an industry and you spend years sharpening yourself, sharpening your mind, your body, and your spirit, it's rare for you to not know how to dig yourself out of every slump or every challenge, because the road towards success is always going to be filled with challenges. And over time, a lot of these challenges just become a pattern.
You put in the work. You can do this. Right? I don't believe in a fixed mindset. I believe in a growth mindset. A fixed mindset says everybody has only a certain level that they can achieve, and then it's a wrap. That's not true. Michael Jordan was not great out the gate. Right? Michael Jackson was not great out the gate. They all put in time, effort, and energy and work. They put in their 10,000 hours, and that's how they got to where they are. You can put in 10,000 hours and be somebody you don't even recognize. Become something that you didn't even know you could become. Why? Because we're not fixed. We can grow. There's something in our brains called neuroplasticity that allows your brain to actually grow, learn new things, process new things. That's why God says renew your mind daily, because your mind can be renewed. You can be a different version of yourself today. Literally start today.
Yeah, listen, Lecrae is one of those guys that, sometimes very controversial, difficult to understand by some. I think I get him. I understand him. I think, when you become this person, this creative person who lives in his own space, where you grow to understand and, function differently. You just think differently from how other people tend to see things. It's you are bound to kind of, say some things that some people do not understand. And I know everybody's been on this case about this whole wretched and saved merch and stuff like that. I wasn't following it much, so I'm not going to talk much about that. But anyway, it's just one of those things whereby whenever he sort of ventures into a certain space, he has a reason why he does what he does. You know what I'm saying? And I think, sometimes some people are just really hard to understand and read into. But I think for a lot of time, for the majority of times, a lot of things that he says are very relatable, and they are very relevant to a lot of our experiences. It's relevant to my experience, and I'm pretty sure that it's relevant to your experience as well. He's one of those guys who have put in the work. He has put in the grind. And a lot of things that he's talking about right there, it just comes back to the fact that you need to live your expectations. You gotta live your expectations in the moment. You gotta grind it down. You gotta put in the work. And that's kind of like what I'm going through right now in this season and time of my life, where I just gotta stay consistent. Create content consistent and being consistent. If you're not consistent in anything, you may as well just not do it, because it's just not gonna work. And I love what this guy is talking about, man. All right. So you guys tell me what you think. I'm gonna leave the link to his video on the description. You guys can go and watch it. You guys tell me what you think about what he's talking about right there. And once again, do give me feedback about other videos that you might want me to react to. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Subscribe. Do watch my content. Stay prayerful, and God bless.